Thank you for having me.
Yes. Just waiting a little bit. Okay. I will, okay, so now it's 11:33, and so we'll go ahead and kick off so we can be on time and everything, and so you can stay with your wonderful at-home from work schedule. So thank you all for joining. I think I know most of you, but some of you I don't know yet, so that's good. Very good. I'm Andrea with the ADS agency. Hey, Ardane, did you have a question or something?
No, I was just saying hi.
Oh, that was your high hand. Okay. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. And we have Elizabeth Brady Campbell joining us also. Very good. Okay. Yes. So Andrea with the ADS agency, that's my business. With the Atlanta Black Chambers. So most, if not all of us members are also entrepreneurs. So I know a lot of you are, which is wonderful. You are exactly who we want to talk to this morning. And I'm happy to introduce our presenter this morning, who is Kimberly Starks. And I love this lady. She is just marvelous, fantastic, has done great work with the chamber and otherwise. And so her topic today is communications for business continuity. And I just want to share a little bit about Kimberly for those of you who don't know her yet. She is an accredited public relations practitioner. She has a specialization in reputation management, and her businesses are Blue Scorpion Reputation Management and also Immense DC, which is an e-sporting consultancy. I know you will explain all those to everyone so they can understand better what you do. But she's worked with the Georgia Lottery Corporation and also several newspapers in the Southeast.
I'm doing well. How about you? That's good.
Just checking in.
Oh,
The Georgia Game Developers Association and the Georgia's Technology Innovation and Entrepreneurship Legislative Caucus, among other things. And so I will not read your entire resume, Kimberly, but just know she is a force to be reckoned with in the PR world. And so, Kimberly, I will let you take it from here, and please share as you like with all of our guests today.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me this morning, and thank you to the Atlanta Black Chambers for this opportunity. I'm Kimberly M. Starks, an accredited public relations practitioner, and I have a specialization in reputation management. And as Andrea said, today's conversation is communications for business continuity. Now, this is an intimate conversation, so let's cover some groundwork. Let's all have an understanding that because we're in an unprecedented time in the midst of COVID-19, we're learning and growing together. So I would like for us to consider this, again, an intimate conversation, not necessarily a workshop, if you will. I'll break frequently, opening the floor for conversation before moving on. And I'd like to cover background information about BSRM before, as we set the stage for this moment. So before we begin, I'd like to provide background information on why public relations is necessary during this time. Many people think of public relations as media relations, where the communications is limited to outreach to the media. While that is a facet of the job, PR professionals do so much more. BSRM, for example, where I'm the principal consultant, we're a specialist communications firm that provides media strategy, content creation, reputation management, and crisis communication services. So let's cover a few definitions. Business continuity. Business continuity planning helps to mitigate potential threats. Within that business continuity planning is contingency planning. And that's where you are identifying and prioritizing your resources. It's a facet of reputation management, which is PR. Business continuity and contingency planning touches internal and external communications and is necessary, even if you are a sole proprietor. And following today's session, you all will receive a value-added checklist that covers more information than the time that we have allotted for today. Before I begin, I just want to emphasize that it doesn't matter which industry you work from or the size of your company, we all need to develop a business continuity plan, which includes contingency planning for the unforeseen. So let's jump right into our conversation. So I know that we've all heard the saying that we dot our I's and we cross our T's. Well, today we're dotting our I's and we're circling our O's with contingency planning. We'll be strengthening your business by evaluating your company's operations. So first, we emphasize the need for effective communications to your audience and what they need to hear at this time. But before we focus on your external audiences, of importance is what you're doing internally. So here's where we dot our I's. And our I's is what can be done immediately. What can be done immediately is it's time to beef up our IT controls. Yes, it's time to conduct an IT audit. It's critical to ensure and enlist support from our IT professionals as your partner. We have several dedicated professionals within our own ABC chapter that you can call upon, and we at BSRM have a cybersecurity team that we work with should you need us. Now, you might ask, why is this important? Why are you leading with information technology? Well, the reason is because it's not just about your business, but it's about your stakeholders and the community groups that you serve who might access your website and any other access points or assets that could possibly affect both you and them. Right now, as we all are video conferencing more, this opens an opportunity for hackers and scammers, and they send phishing emails that contain malware and ransomware meant to compromise your hardware that can extend to your external audiences. So there are hackers, and I've heard experiences close to home from other business owners in Atlanta that this has happened to, where you have hackers who have registered domains posing as Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and Google Meet related URLs. So that leaves people more compromised since the video conferencing has increased. So if you haven't done an IT audit lately, this would be an opportune time to do so. And that is one of the immediate steps as a part of your contingency planning that you need to consider. Another immediate consideration for your business is to emphasize public health first. And this is, again, where we're touching internally, which has the benefit externally. Michelle Dawkins on the ABC call earlier this week, she alluded to this fact. Your employees, your independent contractors, and even you, yes, you come first. And I emphasize you because we as business owners, we sometimes leave ourselves last, but we are an important component as a part of this public health first. As it relates to your employees, this is the time to offer flexibility. We're in a public health emergency, so you want to be empathetic during this time. That's really important. Make it known that you're out to protect your stakeholders' health and safety as you begin your own reopening process. And Show and communicate that you're taking every precaution to protect them, because your stakeholders, which includes your employees and your independent contractors, are critical to your success. From your air filtration to the communal coffee pot, if you have an office that you go to, communicate that process for protection. With your employees and your stakeholders, be proactive and communicate with transparency. People want to know these things. They're things that we didn't consider before, but that is of the utmost importance now. And it's the little things that count, so don't discount the little things. And it's important during this time to find ways to lift the burden of those who you interact with closely, namely your employees and your independent contractors. And that could be figuratively, not literally, in creating fun activities and finding meaningful ways to connect with those who you work closest with. Now, I'll stop here because I've covered our eyes, what we need to do in the immediate. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. So let's circle our O's, and this encompasses our business operations. Again, we're talking about contingency planning, which is a part of business continuity planning. So this is the time to evaluate the situation that is facing most businesses right now. One of the ways that you can evaluate your business operations from a communication standpoint is by taking a step back and looking at your digital marketing strategies, those strategies that nurture your lead generation. Take a look at consumer insights, the industry insights, how COVID-19 has affected your industry and how it's affecting the consumers that you serve. You can do that by a Google search. There are several research websites that are out there, and one of my favorite, which produces survey results on a daily basis, is yougov.com. That's yougov.com. So if you want to take a look at what some consumers are saying or what your industry may be saying or doing in response to COVID-19, that is an excellent website to go to. This also is a good time to gauge the overall perception of your company based upon previous and current interactions. You definitely want to take the time to know what people are saying about your brand and your business, know what people are saying or are affected by the industry in which you work from. So you can do that by polling on social media, via Twitter, asking questions, open-ended questions on Facebook to garner that feedback. And it's also another way to have a personable connection with the people who are interacting with your brand so that they know that you are at the forefront of what's going on and you're not hiding behind the scenes, that you're ready and available to address their needs. So again, participating with dialogue, that's a key way to interact with the stakeholders that you serve. Begin with the end in mind. This is a really good time to, again, take a look at your business operations. But when you do that, take a look at what you want your end goal to be, not just simply I'm navigating through this COVID-19 situation. What is the outcome that you want to realize and envision for yourself? Is it to, at this time, make a stronger connection with your audiences? Is it to increase your social media presence, and how are you going to go about doing that? So think of what your end game is by, let's just say, the beginning of the fall. You set the benchmark, but keep some of those things in mind, and monitor the dialogue that you have with your stakeholders during this time. This is a great time to have that two-way communication. A lot of people are sheltering in place, as we all should, and we yearn for that meaningful connection. So this is a great time to really have that personable connection with all of your stakeholders and to monitor what those stakeholders have to say about your business. Another key point is to incorporate social listening into your dialogue on social media. A good way to do that is by subscribing to services such as Sprout Social, which incorporates that social listening platform. And you can do that by listening by industry, listening by your particular business per se, if you have that large following, and use that as an opportunity to join conversations that are being had on social media. So what you're doing here is you are conducting an environmental scan. That's the technological term for what I've just described. This is a good part of contingency planning, because whatever is happening in your industry as a result of COVID-19, it allows you to be proactive in getting ahead of any situation that could be forming or ongoing, as opposed to being reactive and having to do damage control as a result of what has happened on a larger scale because of it. And I'm sure we're all keeping up to date with the news cycle, and that gives you a good landscape analysis of what's going on industry-wide. So before I move on, I'll stop here to take any questions that anyone may have about what I've just said.
I have a question.
Yes.
If you're a business, because I know a lot of business owners have not really done social listening before. And so I know you mentioned
Yes.
social is a good tool to use, but can you just quickly explain the basics behind listening? Like what should business owners be looking for, if they're starting a social listening program for the first time? Like what should they be looking out to get that good environmental scan, and what are some of the things that they should be checking out? How do they find their people? Just kind of some of the basics to get them started.
Right, that's a very good question. So let's say you haven't used a social media platform, you're just getting started, you don't know where to begin. There are still ways that you can find out what's happening in your industry, in your backyard, what's happening in your city. And you can do that, one, by keyword searches. So if you want to come up with a list of keyword searches for you to search on Twitter or social media, Facebook or Instagram, that's a quick way to see what others in your industry are doing. Another way is to look at best practices. And what I mean by that is taking a look at what others in your industry have going on, what they are talking about. So that would be your key competitors or someone who is an affiliate or an associate to your association, what it is that what you do or provide. And again, having the direct conversations with your stakeholders is also a good way to determine what they are thinking and feeling about what it is that you are doing and the industry that you work from. Google News and subscribing to keywords from Google News will also help to populate those articles on a daily basis so that you are on top of what is happening nationally and internationally. So thank you for that question, Audrey. I hope that answers your question.
Hey, Kimberly, I have a question.
Yes.
What advice would you give to someone who is like starting up during this time? Because I've been doing the work. I have clients, but I haven't promoted myself. So I decided to brand myself and bring myself out there to see if I could attract additional clients. So what is, is there a COVID concern? Should I be scared? Social listening that sprouts. I love that. And Andrea, your backup questions, or Andrea, I'm sorry, backup questions to support that really help fill the void for how to listen socially. So back to my question, what advice would you just give? Because I think my thing is, and I'm sorry if this is taking forever for me to get a question out, just, like I've been doing the work and it's supposed to already be a saturated fill, which I don't care, because I saw this post that said, I know it's a saturated, I'm about to saturate this more. So what do you, I don't know, like, yeah. So like off the top of your head, what would you tell me?
Well, I would say there's no better time than now to go ahead and start your business. Because if you always say, I'm going to start when this is over, or I'll start in the new year, you will always be setting the mark down the line and you never get to it. So go ahead and start now. But what I would do is have a test group. We're going to call this test group your brand ambassadors. So you're going to gather 20 of your closest friends and family and extended acquaintances and let them know, hey, I've just started this business. You're my test group. And you are going to explain to them, lay it out, what service you provide, how you are providing it, what you want to achieve from providing it. And let's just say you have a Zoom meeting, get all 20 people in the same room if you can. And after they have read through what it is that you're providing, you've explained it, you've laid it out, have a good hour-long session. Let them tell you what they think about what it is that you've presented. Ask for feedback. This will be an opportunity for you to hone your service offering, to make it better, whatever it is that they suggest. Let them tell you, and then once you've refined based upon their recommendations, go back to that same test group. They then will become your brand ambassadors externally. You're going to have that revised messaging for them to spread the word on their social media channels, because now between those 20 people, you're fanning that message to 400, depending on, how many people are within their network. And in doing so, you are creating that intimacy because they are vouching for you, having that personable relationship, and they're sharing that personable relationship as an extension because they're the brand ambassador. And you can make it fun, incentivize it for them with a digital badge or something that they can, display with honor. I am, a representative of Raquel Hill and the service that she provides.
Okay.
So that's one way to go about it.
Okay, that was good. That was good. Thank you. I feel
Yes,
like I'm that's good, Pastor. That's good. So that was good.
Thank you. Yes. So now we'll move on. So we're continuing with circling our O's in the operational side of our business and contingency planning within the business continuity planning. So again, we're communicating with clarity any pertinent operational changes or decisions that affect your stakeholders or employees. There are some of us who have storefronts. You may have had to close. You may be in the process of reopening. So this is the perfect time to be very, very clear what the expectation is. And going back to my example of the communal coffee pot, even down to that, people need to know, how are you handling wiping down that communal coffee pot? It's very important. if operating physically, be vigilant in making sure that a separation of at least 6 feet is applied to keep customers safe and your employees safe, because people are going to want to know that. And consider at this time communicating to your community. That is a stakeholder that oftentimes is missed. We get focused on our employees, we get focused on the people that we do business with directly, but this also is a great time to reach out to the immediate community where you live and that you potentially serve. They might be in assistance of whatever service or good that you provide. So this is an opportunity to reach out to them and to build meaningful relationships that can last long term. Proactively take steps to protect and be of service to that community. It will help you in the long run. So as you can see, PR professionals, we are capable of serving as your liaison in identifying your areas of need to connect you with the proper resources and people to mitigate risks. So while we are known for communicating and being that liaison to the media, we also serve as the liaison to your IT professionals, to your legal team, to your HR, because oftentimes those various departments, whether you run a company with a number of employees, or if you are a sole proprietor, you still need to have a liaison that connects the dots between those different departments. And that's the role that we serve in making sure that you have a consistent message across all categories, internally and externally. And what I've shared is overarching. It's steps for us all to consider. So if you'd like to have an in-depth conversation specifically about your company, please feel free to contact BSRM. And again, you will receive a value-added checklist following today's presentation. Thank you so much for your time, Andrea. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And if there are any other questions that you'd like to have answered, I'm more than happy to answer them at this time.
Yes, thank you, Kimberly, and thank you for kind of winging this conversation with without your slides. I know you worked hard on them, and so however, you did an excellent job carrying the conversation without them. So that's what a professional does. Great job.
Thank you.
So I want to invite you all to unmute yourselves if you want to ask a question verbally, or you're also welcome to type it in the chat. We have a few more minutes here before we're slated to close. So we do have room for some dialogue, which I think would be great. And I want to kick that off, Kimberly, with another question to you. If you're thinking about operations and how your operation might be changing. Gardane said, "Great job, Kimberly." Sandra said,
Thank you.
yeah, yes, as always. Yeah, she is a very polished professional. So one question I had, because I know I have at least one, if not two clients who are going through this now, where people have had to really pivot in their business, their actual offerings, so they may have had a core service before. I'm thinking of a client who was mainly in the aviation space. And as you know, that drastically dropped, so they have been able to whip that around to another thing. But, I wonder what your thoughts are to businesses like that who are in the position of having to drastically change up their core offerings in this moment, to fit the needs of this moment and to really survive themselves during this. What do you feel they should do from a communication perspective? If their core offering was something else before and that's really what their brand was, but having to shift, pivot, change it up to fit today, do you feel, we just have temporary messaging, to fit the moment, and then we may potentially, depending on how things go back to what we were doing before, and that becomes the core message again? Or how do you feel about businesses who are in that position?
That's a good question. And as you were providing that example, the first thing that came to mind for me is about the company's narrative. So when we all were setting up our businesses, we knew what it is that we wanted to do, right? But behind that, we had a set of values that we'd identified. We all have a mission that we've put into play. We all have a vision that we've established for ourselves. So if there is a business that is having to pivot as a result of this unprecedented time, there still is a story to tell, and not a temporary story, but a story that has been with them through the test of time, through the test of their existence. And it is the mission. It is what is valued. It is the vision. Because no matter if I, as a PR professional, provide a service today, but in order to survive, I have to start selling potatoes, the values are still the same. This is what BSRM as a business stands for. We're selling potatoes right now, but this is what we stand for. This is our mission, and this is our vision. And not to be so cut and dry in that storytelling, as you know, that's where the marketing kicks in, but it's just re-emphasizing in a personable way that this is who we are at our core. And we're all going to get through this together. It's like a hodgepodge of meshing that empathy, that we're still providing something for you. And this is how we're doing it. It's always been the same, but just in just packaged differently.
I love that, harkening back to your core values as the mainstay consistent string in, amidst all this turmoil. I really think that's so excellent. So thank you for that.
Yes.
What other questions do we have out there? I'm going to invite you to unmute yourselves to ask Kimberly any questions while we've got her. This is an excellent professional at your fingertips. So if you do not get your question in now, shame on you. Hey, Wendy.
How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Thank you for joining.
Sorry, I got in late.
No, that's okay. That's okay. We're busy people, I know. Kimberly, Sandra was asking about slides. I don't know if you want to send slides later. I know you've got the checklist you can send everyone.
Yes, it is a 4-page checklist. It is very detailed. And if you have not created a contingency plan, if you have not created a business continuity plan, right now is a great time to do that. And again, contingency planning is taking a look at what's going on in your industry and being proactive about the threats, the potential threats that could happen to your business. So you're creating a plan B, a plan C, you're strategizing in the event that an impending threat, an occurrence that's out in the environment doesn't affect your business.
Awesome. So we will look out for that fantastic 4-page checklist. Wow, it sounds very comprehensive. Very good. Okay, and any other questions for Kimberly? While you're thinking of them, because we do have just a little bit of time for maybe 1 or 2, I just want to mention Atlanta Black Chambers membership. I know many of you are members. Andrea Wilkinson's a new member on MCAT, Raquel. By the way, everyone wish Raquel a happy 50th birthday. Today's her 50th. Fantastic 50th.
Happy birthday! Yay!
Happy birthday! Woohoo!
Birthday. Yes. I heard Velva's laugh. It's so funny that we can recognize it.
Yes. Yeah. I wished her happy birthday earlier.
Yes. Yes. So if those of you who do not happen to know this, Melvin Coleman is our exec director with the Atlanta Black Chambers. And so if you can see this on my screen now, this is just information on how you can become a member if you are not a member. Just go to atlantablackchambers.org/registration. You can find the membership information there. We want to invite you to do that if you are not a member already, or send this to a friend of yours. You know, if you find value in these wonderful presentations with our professionals like Kimberly, this is the place where you want to be. So there are advantages to membership throughout the year that you'll get to experience. And Melvin, feel free to add your wonderful 2 cents, because I know you are the best hype man ever for Atlanta Black Chambers.
Well, just to chime in on what you were saying, you know, sometimes people will come to me and say, I want to do an activity or host an event or do something with the chamber, and they're not a member. And so it's like, I'm like, yeah, that's one of the benefits of membership. You know, you get to host a webinar or do some type of activity on the chamber's platform. So Kimberly was a great example today of the chamber doing the things that we like to do for our members. She did a great job, and this was another great webinar in a series of brand tech webinars. So we look forward to the MCAT committee continuing to deliver the timely, relevant content that is going to make us better entrepreneurs. So I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And again, this is how you can reach Kimberly. You can find her, just search Blue Scorpion Reputation Management for her website. She's on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find her on LinkedIn. And also, don't forget her esports agency, Immense DC, which is fantastic. I believe you are our only gaming expert in the ABC. So she is your go-to for all those things. And also agriculture, you know, so she's my go-to for that as well. So if you ever have any needs in those areas, she is definitely your go-to for those things. And also don't forget to follow the Atlanta Black Chambers. If you are not following us on any of these categories, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can visit our website and also go to LinkedIn. And if you're not getting these emails, I'm assuming all of you are, just let us know either through any of those channels and we'll find you what you want. So before we get out of here, I just want to open it up again for any other questions, comments for Kimberly before we leave.
I have something to ask about the IT audit.
Yes.
Where do we start with that?
Well, again, we have a number of very qualified and competent IT professionals within the Atlanta Black Chambers. They are a good starting place. Please contact, and I don't want to leave anyone out, but I'm just naming, you know, those that I know off of the top of my head: Roy Hodges, Sean St. Hill. Those are 2 right within our MCAT committee that you can call upon who are able to assist with that. But it's very, very important right now to make sure that your website is locked down, that any other asset that you use to communicate with your audiences is locked down so that you don't get taken.
Yes, and Andrea, Sean is going to be coming back this summer with a security presentation. So he's going to be doing that soon, but he's a great resource for sure, as Kimberly mentioned. Roy Hodge is our tech lead, you know, so you can always reach him. Harold Alexander, I'm working with him right now with a client on a web app, you know, which is really cool. The very one who had to pivot their business, you know, so yeah, that's pretty, they're all very resourceful. And Zach Farley also. Also, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wickinson, but Technology dabbles in this space as well, right? If you're still on.
Yes, we do. We are geared towards, you know, small businesses, device installation. So we do a little bit of IT as well.
Okay. Any ideas for Andrea on starting an IT audit for a business, like where you might start with an IT audit?
Well, definitely. I'm not familiar, with the other IT gentlemen because since I'm new to the I think Black Chambers, but any one of them, who are experts in those fields, they'll have the proper tools and the proper system that you need to get you started. Once you reach out to them, they'll reach out to you and they'll be equipped with the proper tools and be able to guide you further.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for that question, Andrea. Any other questions for Kimberly? I don't want to leave you out. Just in case. Dr. Mary Ritz, hello. I just saw you. Hello, and Marquis.
Wonderful. Dr. Mary Ritz is another example of who we would work with in terms of human resources, putting together that leadership team to make sure that processes in reopening post-COVID are in place. So, hi, Dr. Mary Ritz.
Yes, she's probably passed me right now, but I just want to thank you again, Kimberly, for this excellent presentation and also for your wonderful pointers. These were great reminders, to really be thinking about social listening, doing that IT audit if you've not done that already. The whole environmental scanning, that's a new term. I haven't actually come across that one. So I love that. I love that.
Hold on one second. Andrea?
Yeah.
Is Dr. Ritz still on? And I don't know if she is, but she has a webinar at 2:00. So
Okay.
just wanted to give a plug for ABC member Dr. Mary Ritz, who has a webinar at 2:00 on leadership, I believe it is. Yeah, on leadership. Mm-hmm. So
awesome. Yeah, I have been seeing her emails about leadership. Thank you, Kimberly. She is on, but I don't know if she can right now.
And the registration, of course, is in the e-blast, that goes out on Tuesday morning. So you'd have to go back if you wanted to check it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that.
I want to put a plug in since she checked in on us here.
Thank you. Well, yes. Well, that is our time today, everyone. Kimberly, again, thank you so much. And we look forward to getting that 4-page checklist out to you.
4 pages.
Yes, very comprehensive. She does not want you to lose that.
Very comprehensive.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, you will not. You can't say that you didn't learn something. So look out for that email later today. We'll get that out to you all. And don't forget, we will be doing these now, definitely every 4th Thursday of the month. This time, 11:30, we'll have a Brand Tech webinar. And sometimes also we'll be adding in a second Thursday. So sometimes 2nd or 4th Thursdays of the month, we'll be doing these Brand Tech webinars. So Harold is on Thursday. Wonderful, Harold. So that would be a good IT audit potential question, not to pivot his presentation. And then I think we've got Lorena Douglas on the 4th. So she'll be talking, if you have been interested in mobile texting marketing technology for your business, this is a great time. Everyone is on their phones at home. So, be sure to look out for those when they come out in a few weeks. Okay, thank you. You guys have a great Memorial Day weekend, whatever you are doing, hopefully grilling something good. And I will talk to y'all later.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a happy birthday, Raquel.
Bye, Raquel.